All right. Sorry about that, guys. You guys ever have played this, you completely understand um the Bop It's. And actually, I have a really funny story about Bop It. So if you stick around to the end of the video, I will share my little story I have. Today we are going to be reacting to a video called How I Know America Messed Me Up Since Living in Germany. Now, some of you may know that I plan on moving. Charlie and I are not sure if it's probably gonna be in the Netherlands, but I'm in love with Germany. And I'm just really, really anxious to see this video because I just need to know. I mean, I just need to know what is going on and what she thinks about everything. So we will just jump on in.
Hi everyone, what is up? My name is Haley. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you did not know, now you do. Hey you guys, what's up? So in today's video, y'all, you have asked, I have delivered. A lot of y'all have been commenting under my videos with links to videos of Americans talking about how the United States messed me up. I'm going to be making my own version of this video. I'm going to sprinkle in humor, but a lot of these points are very serious. And so with that being said, let's keep this intro relatively short, quick, and simple. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up.
Yes.
And don't forget, ooh, my fingers were not the cutest there. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section. So starting with funny and easing into more serious points, y'all.
Yeah.
The first thing that I can talk about is
When I seen this video, the title of it, I'm like, okay, how emotional am I today? Because this stuff does get me emotional. I had to stop watching the news and, completely change what I've watched because it just got me so down and out, and you could just never get the truth of what's really going on, and people would be calling them out and they just have nothing to say but just go in circles with us. It's like, anyway, hopefully I'm not too emotional and I could hold it together.
or are the vegetables. I don't know what it is, but I do know what it is now. But when I first came to Germany and I started eating stuff, especially raw vegetables, I always wondered why it tasted so weird. I don't know how to explain it to you guys. If you know, you know. And it only happened to me when I lived in Germany and then went back to the United States after like being here for a year or two. And I don't know what we do with food in the United States, but we just add so much. And so eating vegetables in Germany, I sometimes feel like I'm eating very healthy. I mean, eating vegetables is healthy. It's also normal. That's also a shock for me. That's how I know the United States messed me up when I ate one little piece of paprika and I really thought I was moving mountains with my health. No, Haley, you're not doing anything eating that one little piece of paprika. This is also the same with a lot of different snacks and unhealthy food options. When you come to Germany and you get cookies and then you compare it to an American cookie and the American cookie is 20 times sweeter, even though the German cookie itself is already very sweet. And so that
Oh my gosh, we have these cookies and they are just like plain sugar cookies with like frosting, and it's like that really thick frosting you put on cakes, but so like this thick of a layer of oh my god, they are so good, but I'm sure they are very fattening. Totally worth it, I think.
That took me a very long time to get my, how do you say, taste buds and just my body acclimated to this change. And so I knew the United States messed me up when I came to Germany, ate some vegetables, and thought to myself, ooh, why does this taste so bland? Or why does this taste like vegetables? Why does this taste so healthy? It's because I was used to every single freaking vegetable of mine stir-fried, sauteed in a pound of butter and oil. And that's not healthy, and that's not normal, and that's not how you should consume vegetables on a daily basis. I'm here to tell you, if you're an American watching this, don't do that. You're probably an American and you do that. I promise you, don't do that. No. So the next point, you guys, is actually something y'all pointed
Called me
out
out
to
on
me.
it and
And
everything.
I wasn't even like thinking in the back of my head, in the front of my head, anywhere in my head, that this could actually be an issue. But then I sat there and I reflected and I was like, wow, y'all are really right. But when I got sick in the United States and I called off of work, I felt guilty. I felt bad, even though I was sick. And not even that I felt bad. Sometimes my employers made me feel bad. Like, are you sure that you can't just come
You
in for a
can't.
few hours? Are you sure you're missing the whole day? But
Yeah, and like the same. Oh my gosh, even with COVID, when I got COVID, I was like, I called him and I was like, man, I am like, this really sucks because I know they were gonna be so mad at me. Um, and it got to the point of like after the initial, it was just like, well, you could wear a mask. And even being sick, being a manager of a restaurant and stuff, they will still call you. Like, no shame in their game at all. They will call.
we are a family, Haley. Are you just gonna leave your coworkers to fend for themselves? It's gonna be so hard if you're not here. And oh my gosh, how are we supposed to survive
Oh,
without you? And then, of course, you come hobbling in. Sick as a dog, work because you feel completely bad. And in the United States, companies, corporations like to say, we're a family. And they do this so they can brainwash you to
yeah.
make you feel bad, to not call off or do anything that you wouldn't do to your family. Now, granted, now, if I get sick, my family deuces. You won't hear from me. You won't, I'll come out, out of my cocoon when I am a nice little butterfly feeling better after I'm sick. But back in the day, I was not like that. And so this trickles down from like work culture, family culture, or your family culture trickles down into your work culture. And it's like a pseudo mind game that companies play with you so they can get more out of you. I think I
Yeah.
would be the worst employee in the United States. They would probably hate me in the United States because I'd probably start a union. I would band together with everyone to try to get better workers' rights. But I would also be the
Yeah.
employee where they say, are you sure you want to call out? I'd be like, F those people, F this company. I'm sick. I care about my health. Y'all don't care about my health. You don't give me.
Oh my gosh. And she is so incredibly right. Like, Charlie would get so mad at me because I would be like, I would be puking. Oh my gosh, through my whole pregnancy, both of my pregnancies. I puked every single day, but my second one, it was like way worse, and I just couldn't keep anything down. And I was sitting there working every half hour. I'd be running to the bathroom and I'd puke, and then I'd come back and finish my shift. And oh my, I was so miserable, and I made the perfect decision. Although it really did screw us financially. We're still trying to bounce back, but the second time around, working in that environment again and not feeling appreciated one bit, it was like, it's a slap in the face. It really is. It's just like, how dare you? How dare you? You know?
No health care, no good health care, no good health insurance. Why should I care about y'all? I probably wouldn't say it in that exact tone, y'all. I would say it in a more respectful manner, but you would get the point. So the next point is going to be turning down surgeries and procedures when I go to the doctor. This doesn't happen anymore for the most part. I would say like 99.9% this doesn't happen. But when I first got to Germany, you guys, I turned down so many different procedures because I didn't know how the system worked. I always thought when a doctor was explaining this extensive medical care plan that it was going to cost me an arm and a leg. And so I would listen. They probably thought, what the heck is wrong with this girl? I would listen. I would take in everything that they said, take the paper, take their advice and say, thank you, but no. I never said, why not? I just would always say no thank you. I usually wouldn't follow up. I wouldn't go to the doctor's appointments. And I don't remember what exactly was the tipping point. I think it was when I had my surgery in 2016 or 2017, I don't recall. And I went to a specialist. I told her my issues. She told me, hey, you need surgery. And in the back of my head, I thought it was gonna cost me like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I wasn't really concerning myself with that. I had the fear in the back of my head, but I was more focused on my health at that time. I think like I took a turn. I was like, I need to focus on my health because I know this isn't helping me. I'm not getting better. I'm not doing okay. And so after I got out of the hospital, I think it was 3 or 4 days, I went to the front desk. I asked for the bill. I asked when they were going to mail it to me. And they said, oh, well, you could pay right now. And I was like, girl, I don't got money like that. I'm like, hey, you pay right now? Do y'all accept credit cards from the United States? And she's like, it's only 30 or I think 40 bucks. And I was like, for what? But when's the big bill coming for the surgery that I had to stay in the hospital for 3 days? And she was like, what do you mean? Like every time, you guys, when I'm asking about money at a doctor's office, you know, in the beginning of my stay here, it was always like, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean, girl? And so from there, it goes into my next point. And that is when I went to get procedures done that were maybe extra. They weren't covered by my insurance. There are certain things that I get done just because of the surgery that I've had in the past that I feel like are necessary, but they aren't really medically necessary. And they cost me about, I would say, 90 euros a year. And so I remember the first
Wow.
time my doctor was explaining this to me, and she was like, yeah, it's going to be extremely expensive. It's going to cost more money, but no big deal. We can work with billing to where they send it, you know, instead of today, they send it in 2 to 4 weeks. So then you have like 2 to 4 weeks to pay. And so you have a little time. And her saying it's 90 euros. And I was like, girl, I got enough Kleingeld. Like, look at my purse. I could probably find 90 euros worth of coins in there. I'm like, here we go. Let's go. It made me realize what expensive is, or like the sharp, how do you say, contrasting differences of what expensive is in the medical world in Germany and the United States.
See, and I will say that she is completely right. Absolutely 100% right on that. And it's like also with like the ambulance, that costs money. So if say I would call it ambulance because God forbid something happened and I needed an ambulance, um, they would come and look at you, and if you need to go to the hospital, they would be like, you could take the ambulance. It it won't cover, the insurance won't cover it, or you can, you know, drive there yourself or have somebody drive there yourself or whatever. And it's like, I'm looking back, like I thought this was completely normal, and it's not. It's like it's not, especially also like turning off my water. Like I was very humbled, very very humbled. Like when I move, I'm gonna be a brand new humbled woman. It's crazy. Anyway,
In the United States, I'm thinking expensive, I'm thinking $1,000+. The lady at my doctor's office is saying that 90 to 100 euros is expensive. And the thing is, when you have such high sums like in the United States, you start normalizing those numbers. Like, oh, you're only paying 500 bucks for this test. And for an American, you're like, oh, well, that's not bad because last year I had to pay 750. Wow, I'm getting a humongous discount. But in reality, that same test overseas costs 50 bucks, 1/10 of the price. So the next point is going to be donating paid time off to coworkers. So something that is common and
what?
happens in a few businesses and corporations in the United States is that employees will donate some of their paid time off to sick employees. Someone that I know has cancer, they work a full-time job, they used all of their paid time off, they used all of their sick leave, and they had to basically beg all of their coworkers to donate 1 day of paid time off so they were able to stay home for a few weeks while they were recovering for chemo. I think I've told this story before on my channel, but I just wanted to bring it up again. Some people donate 2, some people donate 8, some people donate a couple of days, who knows? Throw in a week because I'm not going on vacation anyways because I gotta stay here and work 60 hours a week. That happens, and
Yeah.
then you give it to the person, they're able to take their time off, and the corporation or the company just sits there and says, wow, you guys are so generous, you're so helpful, you are heroes, you are so amazing, while they sit back and do nothing. I literally used to think that this was like I said, heroic and generous of people, but I just realized that it's corporations being greedy assholes with literally ice cold boxes for hearts. As a company, when I see one of my employees that has cancer, that has a life-threatening illness, disease, or sickness, and I say, you people over there, y'all need to do something about your family. And this is also what this is why they do this little family trick, because then it's easier to say, would you want your sister to be sick for 2 weeks with no payment, and you have all of these vacation days and these hours that you're not using anyway? Would you really want that to be your family member? And if this isn't an ethics code violation, I don't know what else would be. The next point, you guys, is
Yeah,
going to be something I talked about in
wow.
my
And also, I'd like to add, like, it is it is so like that. That is so crazy. Like, my grandpa died at a really, really young age. Like, he should still be here right now. He had cancer, and he died, and my grandma ended up having a lot of debt for a long time, and she had to be a landlord on top of that, plus running a full-time daycare, just trying to make it, and then plus pay all these taxes and crazy stuff. Alrighty, keep moving
previous
around
video,
here.
and it is that GoFundMe else would be. The next point, you guys, is going to be something I talked about in my previous video, and it is that GoFundMes are not normal. I used to think this was an amazing option. I mean, it technically still is for a lot of people because so many people fall through the cracks of our system in the United States, and thankfully, there are people that are charitable and generous out there that can help these people that aren't our government, but I digress. Now I realize that this is not normal. This is not okay, that I have to turn to random people on the internet to have my best interests when it comes to healthcare in the back of their head. So the next point, you guys, is going to be something that happened to me, I think last year, right? Is that when I ended up in the hospital for a week? I'm gonna tell you guys a story. I don't remember if I told this story in the video when I talked about going to the hospital, but when I was at the gym, I was really pushing myself on the machine. I mean, really pushing myself. I'm not the pinnacle of fitness or health here, you guys. So think of it my max, which is probably not the max for a lot of people. I was working out relatively hard, and I was feeling something happening while I was working out. I stopped, I ran upstairs, I laid down on the bank at the gym, and I just told myself to lay there for 10 minutes, you know, let your body relax, let your body like cool down. 10 to 15 minutes pass of me laying on this bank. Nothing happened. Shaking, sweating, feeling like I'm gonna throw up. My body's like cramped all together. I'm sitting there in my full workout clothes, just like shaking. And so I'm texting Mike, hey Mike, I think something's really wrong. And he's like, oh yeah, just come home. And I'm like, no, really wrong. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I think I really need to go to the hospital. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I just don't know if I can call the ambulance or if you should call the ambulance. I don't know what to do. And he's like, if you have to go to the hospital, Haley, then call the ambulance. And I'm like, but are you sure? And I'm like questioning in my head if I should really call the ambulance, if I should really go to the hospital, or if I should just sit and wait and hope for the best. So Mike calls the ambulance. He comes into the bathroom with me at the gym. The ambulance shows up. They got to put me on the stretcher, roll me out of the gym. So embarrassing, late at night, sweating, nasty, looking a hot ass mess, and drive me off to the hospital. And in the back of my head, I was thinking to myself, Haley, it's fine. You're in Germany. You can do that. But I still had this hesitation, this resistance to get into the ambulance or let them come and check me, because I was still like in my mind, I can't let the ambulance come because they're going to charge me $1,000 to transfer me to the hospital and I don't want to pay that. And it was like stress pure. I was honestly debating if Mike's mom, because they were on a trip somewhere driving back to our house, if they should come to the gym, pick me up from their way home, drive me to the hospital, or if I should take an Uber, if I should ask someone at the gym to drive me to the hospital. I was honestly in the back of my head just buzzing. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And that's the last thing you should do, want, or need when you're in an emergency. So the last and final point, you guys, is going to be semi-controversial, and it is going
Yeah.
to be, I know the United States messed me up when I thought fireworks were gunshots, y'all. Now I do have to say, let me, how do you say, preface this by saying that I grew up in a relatively rural country town where hunting, shooting was quite normal. My grandma lived on 12.5 acres, you guys, and if it wasn't a deer being shot, it was a turkey being shot. And so on the weekend, during the week, whenever, you would hear gunshots. It would be quite normal. People were hunting. That's what they
Yeah.
did. So there are certain types of shots that I can differentiate between, or
Yep.
maybe
Yep.
different
Yep.
types of guns that I can differentiate between. But there are some times, you guys, when I am in Germany and I hear a firework out of nowhere that I'm like, what the fuck? We got it. Oh, duck. I don't know, get down low on the ground, y'all. We gotta dodge bullets here left and right, or like a very loud noise of some sort. My first reaction is to think it's a gunshot. And to put it into perspective for you guys, I've also talked about this on my channel very briefly. We had two gun incidents at my schools. One was at a middle school, one was at a high school. In my middle school, a kid brought like a little BB gun to school and he shot out a few of the lights and like he put a hole in the window. I don't know if he was doing it because he was cool or he thought he was being cool. Don't know what the reason was, but that happened. I tried to look through the news archives in my old city to try to find a story about this, but there's nothing in the newspaper about this, which I find to be so shocking that it was never reported. It was never talked about. It was just a little kid brought a BB gun to school, shot up some windows, shot up some lights, no big deal, hush hush. And then the next time that a gun incident happened at my school is that a kid brought a gun to school. I think we were maybe like 12 to 14 or 15-ish, and I think he was going to try to shoot the kid that was bullying him. I don't recall 1000% what happened. I've told the story before though. Someone saw he had a gun. Cops came, shut down the whole school. We had to lay on our stomachs for hours in the dark with the doors locked, waiting for cops to come, sweep the whole school, sweep our backpacks, pat us down, make sure we had no weapons whatsoever, and then we went on like it was nothing. And sometimes I feel like I have PTSD, which some of you guys might laugh at me, and that's perfectly fine.
Oh man, I love how she tells stories because I was very, very, very much intrigued. Um, the guns in the schools is a huge problem, and it's becoming like it's almost like it's a bad trend or something. Um, we've had a couple situations happen really close to where I live, like 15, 20 minutes away. Two schools were being threatened to be shot up or whatever, and they ended up getting arrested before any of that happened, and then they actually just got sentenced recently, probably about a year ago, and ended up just being on house arrest. And it's like, and it is none of my business what anybody else does. Um, but when it affects me, it is my business. Um, I don't know. That's all fine and dandy that they got house arrest if that's what the judge and everybody thought was a good idea. Um, and then also with a couple years ago, another incident happened that could be talked about at another time. But three kids ended up dead, and she got 4 years in prison. And that none of my business once again, but I know someone very near and dear to my heart that had an issue with drugs way back in the day. This was a long time ago. And that same person that sentenced these two people prior sentenced them 10 years in prison. So it's like that's that's nuts. Like that they ended up going to rehab. They spent like 2.5 years in prison and then 11 months in rehab and then 5 years on probation. Um, but yeah, there's so much I want to say. My mind is like all scrambled. I can't get my words out. Sorry about that, but um, guns in school, big issue, big issue. And then another thing I was gonna say, she was talking about like the fireworks and stuff. I am almost certain that like the biggest party we ever have is I mean, of course New Year's, but 4th of July, and either of those are nothing compared to the ones that the Germany and Netherlands does. Like they go all out. Like they don't mess around at all. Funny. I'll go back a little bit on this. Oh, boop boop boop. We were over here.
Like it was nothing. And sometimes I feel like I have PTSD, which some of you guys might laugh at me, and that's perfectly fine, but it is not normal for a loud noise or a loud pop to, in your brain, create a connection to a weapon trying to harm you and create this fight or flight response inside of you. You can be scared, but you can't be scared that you're gonna get shot by a gun. That's not a normal connection. And
Oh, and another thing. Oh my gosh, a couple days ago, I walked into the gas station and I went down, grabbed pop, and looked over, and there was this lady. She had a gun in her holster, just like plain Jane, just in sight and everything. And she kind of gave me a warm little smile. And when I first looked at it, my first thought was, okay, are we about to get robbed? Where would I run? Uh, should I get in front of like, where should I place my kid? Like, my mind went 100 miles a minute because it is possible. Not that she would have like done anything, but it's just the possibility of that stuff happening is becoming greater and greater.
the United States, yes, but every other place in the world, it's not. And so, yeah, those were all the points, you guys. You can let me know if I missed some down below in the comment section. Other than that, I'm going. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I love y'all. Have a wonderful day, and bye.
Oh my gosh, she's just one person. I love watching her
Hi
videos,
everyone, what is up?
but
My name is Haley. Welcome to my
she
YouTube channel. If you did not know, now
boop,
you do. Hey you guys,
boop,
what's
boop, boop, boop. She looks wonderful with or without hair. Like she just looks just stunning, really, just in both ways. It's crazy. I mean, I would not look good without hair. Like, believe me, I'd probably look like a cone head. I don't know. But okay, so told you guys I was gonna tell you a story about this. When I was like, so I'm like 34 years old. When I was like 9 or 10, it was around Christmas time, and I have two older brothers, and I don't know why, but for like 4 years straight, can't even see my face. At least you got to look at her face though. Um, so yeah, for like 4 years straight during Christmas, every Christmas a new Bop It would come out in the stores, and my brother Anthony would every single year faithfully get a Bop It. Well, it was near Christmas time, and we were just sitting right next to each other talking and stuff, and I was like, I know what you got for Christmas, and he's like, what? I'm like, a Bop It, and I mean, we belly laughed on the couch, and he's like, nuh-uh, and then I ended up telling him that I was joking and stuff, because, I mean, it just made us laugh so hard, because, oh my God, it was just so funny. Um, I didn't know if you got to Bop It or not. That was the funny part, is like when when he went to unwrap it, like he looks up at me as I'm looking at him, and I'm just like no way, that is crazy. I had like five. Think I have one out in the garage, maybe, unless that's like called Simon or something. But oh my God, it's so addicting, and I love it. And this was like a little keychain thing. This was actually my brother's from when he had it, but yeah, love it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And if you like the content, please like and subscribe. It really, really helps me be able to not have to get another job and continue to make content. I would really, really, really appreciate it, guys. Like, help me out here. Um, Also, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments down below if there's anything that you guys want me to react to. I know I haven't gotten to a couple of videos. Still working on that. And like always, the comments. I read every single one of them, but I could only reply to the ones that like. You guys know. You guys know. But alrighty, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.